Mario enemies aren't exactly known for their intricate designs, and probably the most simple one of all is Boo, everyone's favorite little ghost. It's literally just a white circle with eyes and two little nubs for hands. It can't get much simpler than that. And befitting of their simplicity, the vast majority of Boo variants Mario has encountered over the course of the entire franchise are simply a Boo, but bigger. Occasionally, other design elements are added, but for the vast majority of them, the key design choice is larger. How could something so simple also be so inconsistent and confusing? Because believe it or not, the world of the Big Boos is an absolute mess, to the point Nintendo themselves got tangled up in it. As far as core series enemies go, Boos are among the later introduced ones, making their first appearance in Super Mario Bros. 3. Their original name at this stage was Bo Diddley, which is a pun on the name of American R&B singer Bo Diddley, a name that wasn't exactly meant to be in the zeitgeist forever and so was changed rather swiftly. Even though the concept is quite simple, a plus-sized Boo wasn't initially present and wouldn't make its debut until Super Mario World. During development, the name Boo Jackson was planned for these variants, which is once again a pun on a real-life celebrity's name, in this case Bo Jackson, an athlete who competed in both American football and baseball at a high level. However, it was during the localization of Super Mario World that Boos were renamed to Boo Buddies, which would eventually become just Boo, and as such, the larger variants were instead referred to as Big Boo. Sensible name, a little simple perhaps, but definitely clear in what it's supposed to be. But it wouldn't be for long. In Super Mario 64, a singular, unique Big Boo appears as the owner of the titular Big Boo's haunt, and is fought a total of 3 times over the course of the game. Unique to this Big Boo is the fact that he shrinks whenever he's hit, something that hasn't been seen before or since. This appearance is really the last one that keeps things simple and clear, because when the Nintendo 64 entered its heyday and a new system approached, that would be about to throw a huge twist into the so far pretty basic existence of the Big Boo. Enter Luigi's Mansion, a game that revolves entirely around ghosts and that, of course, also includes Boos. And yet, somehow, someway, this game does not feature the traditional, standard Big Boo at all, not even the character introduced in Super Mario 64. Instead, it brings 2 new oversized Boos with it, both of which have formed quite the legacy. The first is the one you're all familiar with, King Boo. Main villain of the Luigi's Mansion series, frequently seen face in Mario spin-offs, all around just an established Mario character, no questions asked. The second is Boo Losses, a large Boo that by all accounts simply is a big Boo in terms of appearance, yellow eyes notwithstanding. But the story of this character is that it is actually 15 Boos combined together to form this larger threat, to the point they even separate during the boss fight. In a sense, this brings back the idea seen in Mario 64, of a big Boo that shrinks when hit, although the reasons why are a lot clearer in Luigi's Mansion, with Luigi sucking up Boos that then obviously are not around to form Boo Losses. As such, Luigi's Mansion does make a serious effort to separate its newer, larger Boos from pre-existing ones, something that is not exactly done so diligently going forward, leading us to the wave of confusion that would follow in the years, even decades to come. Super Mario Sunshine. Mario's big 3D adventure that introduces new series staples to the franchise like Bowser Jr. and Petey Piranha. And King Boo, at least the young me who didn't have Luigi's Mansion and had no idea King Boo had already been a thing prior to this. The 5th episode of Serena Beach, King Boo Down Below. King Boo's formal introduction to the actual Mario series, with a design that is definitely not what we associate with the character now, but the essentials are there, I'd argue. Little crown, prominent tongue, it's good enough. So cue my absolute shock when I found out literal decades later that this is not King Boo at all. I know, it sounds absolutely unbelievable, seeing as this character is literally called King Boo in-game, has the necessary design elements, and the fact that King Boo and Petey Piranha are a pairing in Mario Kart Double Dash appears to be a nod towards their shared Sunshine origin. And yet, no, this is not canonically King Boo, this is Big Boo. The same Big Boo that we fought in Super Mario 64. And the proof is in the pudding. Or the purin, I guess, Japanese pudding. In Mario's language of origin, King Boo, the actual King Boo from Luigi's Mansion, is known as, it shouldn't be a surprise, Kingu Teresa, or King Boo. But the King Boo we see in Sunshine is not known by this name whatsoever. Instead, its name in Japan is Bossu Teresa, Boo Boss, which is the same name as the character from Super Mario 64 and unique to it. It's also not used for the generic Big Boo enemy as seen in the 2D games. So, to summarize, the localization team took some liberties here and caused a massive web of inconsistency, with a generic enemy called Big Boo who shares his name with a character from the 3D Mario games, even if originally they're meant to be separate, and then that misnamed Big Boo is also misnamed as King Boo, even if that too is originally not meant to be its name. And if you think that is confusing, oh, you haven't seen nothing yet. Because in Japanese, the generic Big Boo enemy is also not referred to by that name, instead going by Atomiku Teresa, which literally means Atomic Boo. A name that has also seen usage in the West to refer to the Big Boos that appear in Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door and Super Paper Mario. As such, those now look like unique types of Boo when they're actually just meant to be the same kind of enemy as was introduced in Super Mario World. It's a completely jumbled up mess that is incredibly hard to make any semblance of, and unsurprisingly led to the misunderstanding around the GameCube era that King Boo is in Mario Sunshine and the Atomic Boo are something unique, when both of those are actually not true at all. This guy right here is the same as this guy right here. And the same goes for this lovely duo. But if you think this was all just growing pains that would eventually be ironed out, I'm sorry to say you're wrong. First, there was Super Mario 64 DS, which confusingly enough retains the Big Boo in his titular haunt, redesigns him to resemble a modern Boo and as such King Boo, yet also adds King Boo to the game as a new boss, with the only physical difference between them being a crown, which, remember, Big Boo, the character, also wore in Sunshine, as far as Japanese audiences are concerned. You know, for a character who was created by Miyamoto based on the literal wife of fellow Mario legend Takashi Tezuka, you'd think there'd be some more care taken to ensure this all made sense, but apparently that was very much not the case. Even as recently as around 10 years ago, during the so-called bland era, where everything had to be generic and clean, would confusing mix-ups like this still happen. Actually, possibly as a result of this so-called bland era. Luigi's Mansion 2, at the time still bearing the subtitle Dark Moon, brings Boolossus back from the dead, as one of the bosses fought in Treacherous Mansion. Just like the boss from Luigi's Mansion 1, this Boolossus is also made up of several Boos, even though it lacks the glowing yellow eyes. Its Japanese name removes any doubt, however, and uses the term Jumbo Teresa to refer to this creature, which is the same name used for Boolossus in the first game. So then, what did the localization team do with it? They called it Big Boo. Of course they did. As if the name Big Boo couldn't get more confusing. If you're keeping count, in the West, we now have 3 separate characters or enemies that are referred to as Big Boo, as well as 2 that should be called Big Boo, but aren't, with Sunshine's version and the Atomic Boo from Paper Mario. Now imagine these had all been called Boo Jackson. Personally, I think the last mix-up, the one from Luigi's Mansion 2, is likely to be the result of the aforementioned sanitizing of Mario around this time. Not only was Boolossus' design changed to be less unique, I suspect there simply was adversity to giving the character the super unique name of Boolossus, even if that was a name already in use. It's hard to say for certain though, as the game was developed by Next Level Games, who are Canadian, and as such it is possible that Big Boo was actually the original name, with Boolossus then a translation into Japanese somewhere in the development stages. Funnily enough, a year prior, it's this sanitized era of Mario and the removal of unique names that actually led to Atomic Boo now receiving its correct name of Big Boo in Paper Mario Sticker Star. A lucky coincidence, I would say. It should also be noted that Boolossus makes his official, unmistakable return in Luigi's Mansion 3, complete with yellow eyes and correct name, even in the West. As far as official in-game information goes, this is about where the confusion ends, but secondary sources and more minor implementations do continue to add fuel to the fire. Mario Galaxy features a larger Boo referred to as Atomic Boo by various online sources, such as Mario Wiki, but I can't say for certain what this name is based on, seeing as no official sources mention this name can be found anywhere, and as far as I can tell, the name isn't used in Mario Galaxy itself. Mario Galaxy 2 also has its own brand of enlarged boos, referred to on the official website as Mega Boos, even though these are practically the same as the big boos from 2D games or the Atomic Boo from Mario Galaxy 1. However, to further complicate things, the Prima strategy guide for Mario Galaxy 2 refers to these enemies as King Boos, meaning that while it may not technically be an official source, there are definitely people out there who believe this enemy to be another one to be considered King Boo. What is funny though is that the Mega Boo's behavior of following after Mario through a wall, chasing him, would later be reused for King Boo in Super Mario Bros. Wonder, tying them together a little somewhat. In between that though, this behavior would also be showcased by Behemoth, another enormous Boo introduced in New Super Mario Bros. 2 for 3DS. Despite being another gigantic Boo to add to the list, this one is surprisingly uncontroversial. It has never been referred to by an incorrect or already in use name, and has even reappeared, showing its odd face again in Mario Kart World in Boo Cinema. And so it does seem like the truly confusing days of Big Boos having the same name as Boss Fight Big Boo, who was then incorrectly referred to as King Boo, etc., are behind us. Occasionally, Nintendo themselves still fall for their own mistakes, like in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where the sound of King Boo's horn is actually from Mario Sunshine, a game we have just established he wasn't even in. But generally speaking, the air appears to have been cleared in the world of the Big Boos. It could very well have been different though. Unused data in Mario Kart Double Dash suggests that originally King Boo, so King Teresa in Japan, would have been called Bossu Teresa, meaning that it would have actually been the character we know as Big Boo who would have made his grand appearance into the Mario cast. Man, how different would the series be right now if that had happened? Maybe not much, but it would mean that suddenly it was the Boo from Sunshine who'd be our current King Boo, rather than the one from Luigi's Mansion. It's weird to think about. Anyway, that's been all from me. What are your thoughts on this whole Boo conundrum? Did you too think King Boo appeared in Mario Sunshine? Share it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on all my future Mario content coming up. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.